Hi, I'm Nicola Cairncross.
Hi, hello, hey, hi.
I'm going to talk to you about success. Yes.
Hi, it's Nicola and I'm back for episode 77 of the Vzine. I better not put numbers in case I get it wrong because I'm bound to. Yeah, it's been a great week out here. It's been thunderstorms and lightning, which means that the power goes off on a regular basis and the internet goes off on a regular basis. I've bought myself a colour gas stove, a little tiny one, so I can make a cup of tea when that happens, because there's nothing worse than not being able to have a hot drink. I've been out and about this week. I've been to writing club, I've been to reading club, I've been out for dinner, Dave's dining club. The expats certainly know how to get a bit of action going on once the summer wears off, and I'm just off to Write Club, where we're going to plan for a few episodes of writeclubthepodcast.com over Christmas. So if you're a writer or if you're a reader, do come along and sign up for that, and I'll see you very soon. Today I'm going to be talking about fairy tales, which is appropriate as I'm just off to Write Club, and that'll be in the middle section, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so this week I would like to talk to you about how fairy tales affect us, how the stories we're told growing up affect how we behave as adults. And the reason this was brought to my attention was because we were talking about fairy tales in our Write Club podcast, and how, you know, they grew up from the folk, they grew up from folk tales, which means that they weren't invented by any government to indoctrinate us. They were invented by women telling stories around, you know, the bedside or the campfire, and I think, you know, they just grew up to reflect how life was like in the olden days. But when I think about the kind of fairy tales I read when I was a child, before I went on to science fiction and fantasy, which is a grown-up version of fairy tales, I think about how I had this subliminal thought that someone was going to come and rescue me at some point. And I remember when that realisation came to me that that was completely false, that nobody actually was coming to rescue you at all, not even your parents, was about when I was about 37 or 38, which is really late in life, isn't it? It really is. And it came to me when I was married and I had children, and somehow I had this subliminal thought that at every stage in life I would get more grown up, or that someone would come and rescue me and everything would suddenly be made all right. And it really was on that, I mean, I remember the exact moment, I remember the exact place I was, and I remember how I felt when I realised that nobody was coming to save me. There was no prince in armour on a mounted steed with a sword, and that, you know, that somehow I sort of had this feeling that that was going to happen, and I don't know where it came from, and the only place I can think it came from was from fairy tales. And perhaps that was my moment of growing up. Perhaps we all have that moment of growing up where we realise, if it's to be, it's up to me, and nobody is coming, not even your parents. And I think people who've got really good parents must have this even more, this problem, because they must always have their parents to fall back on, and unless the parents do a really good job of parenting and helping your child to go beyond you and to become self-resourceful rather than falling back on you, I think that's a very tricky job indeed. And my background, family background, was very difficult and different to that, and so we had a narcissistic mother who passed on her tendencies rather, and she always thought everything revolved around her. So obviously, you know, I grew up with this feeling that she would always be there to save me, and of course when she went beyond being able to save herself, let alone anyone else, it took a while for me to catch up. So why am I telling you all this personal stuff? I think it's because you need to look at yourself, and it came out of this conversation I had with my client last week where she said nothing's happening. And I thought, where do we get this feeling that something is going to happen, something magical, something external, something outside ourselves? Where does that feeling come from? I can only assume it's in the stories we're told as children. Does it have the same effect on boys? Well, perhaps they are brought up to be the ones who have to go and rescue the fair maiden, the damsel in distress, fight the dragon. So perhaps they have a little bit of more of a sense that it's, when they go out into the big wide world, it's going to be down to them. And perhaps they grasp that earlier, I don't know. Perhaps everyone, men and women, have it in the sense that everyone plays the lottery. They're all hoping for that magic win, especially when it's a Euro Millions, and it is actually millions, because that would make a huge difference in someone's life. But the chances of that happening are very remote indeed. I think it's something like you're 7 times more likely for an aeroplane to crash on your head than you are to win a lottery. So, if all the people who are spending money on lottery or gambling, putting money on the horses, or perhaps investing in things that are highly risky, then perhaps those people are still looking for something external from themselves to save them and to make things different. There's no answer to this. The only answer is to look inside yourself, and when you are trying to get your business going, or trying to get more clients, or trying to attract more sales, try and just think to yourself, am I expecting someone to come and save me here, or am I taking the action that this outcome requires? Because I think once you take total responsibility for everything that happens to you, you become a lot happier, because you're not constantly being disappointed by looking for someone to come and save you, or looking for an external event to come and make things better. And you don't get disappointed. You just get up and you get on with it. Hope that helps. Let me know in the comments below if you respond to any of what I've said today. I'll be really interested to hear. Speak soon. So this week on the blog and the podcast, basically the podcast is resuming again with episode 75 of the Vzine, which feeds onto the podcast, so do go and subscribe on iTunes. You can also subscribe to all of my content in different playlists on YouTube, so go and check that out, youtube.com. Actually, if you go to clicksandleads.tv, that'll find it on the YouTube channel. On the podcast on Own It this week, episode 203, we were talking about financial security for the self-employed, how you can become more financially secure even when you don't feel very secure and you're not sure what money's going to be coming in. I'm very keen on helping people to run simple cash flow spreadsheets on Google Docs, basically, so you can access it from your phone, and I teach people how to do that in Clicks and Leads Academy. But go and have a listen to the podcast, episode 203, at nicolacairncross.com/blog. Now, you're also going to see when you go over there that I'm doing a series of daily videos actually across all social media platforms. I was challenged to do that by my mentor and coach, and so far it's going very well. And we've started to put them on the blog daily as well, so we'll see what impact that has on my traffic, because obviously we're having each video, it's only a minute long, but we're having it transcribed and it's got captions on it, and so that makes a multimedia blog post. I'll let you know what difference that makes, if any, to my traffic, but go and check it out in the meantime, nicolacairncross.com/blog, and you can enjoy the tips over there, as well as the Vzine and the Own It podcast. Hope you enjoy all that, and do comment and let me know if you're watching, listening, reading, or doing whatever you do to consume any of my content. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great week. Bye.